Dr. Osman, it's a pleasure to have you as always. And let me first start by asking you, what are the key challenges Iran and the United States face in negotiating a nuclear deal? And how might these obstacles impact the possibility of a fair and honorable agreement?
Thank you for having me, Salma. Always a pleasure to be with you. It seems that what we have witnessed between Iran and the United States over the past few weeks was a battle of wills and a competition of perseverance. Who is willing to bend first before the other? And apparently they came into a middle ground where they will negotiate on grounds that are favorable and agreeable to both sides. The Iranians insisted on conducting indirect negotiations exclusively on the nuclear, on their nuclear program, per the nuclear agreement that was reached by the Obama administration, and it was, of course, abrogated and cancelled by Trump's administration during his first term. And on the other hand, the Americans, the Trump administration, what they wanted is a complete surrender by Iran, meaning that they will de-establish their nuclear program and also de-establish their missile program and sever their relations with their proxies in the region. Now, and of course, the Americans insisted on direct negotiations. What we saw today in Muscat was an indirect negotiation between both sides solely on the nuclear program that then transcended and turned into a direct negotiation when Steve Witkoff and the U.S. envoy and Abbas Araqji, the Iranian Minister of Foreign Affairs, met after the meeting ended and they spoke for a few minutes, meaning that now there will be direct communications between them moving onward in the next negotiating sessions over the past next weeks. And it seems that the atmosphere is positive. It seems that there is grounds for negotiations and discussion. We know that the Trump strategy of negotiation always is to up the ante and go to maximalist demands in order for them at the end to settle to certain reasonable demands by both sides, given compromises. So what I see today is a positive development. It moves Iran and the U.S. slightly away from the trajectory to conflict. However, of course, we should not get ahead of ourselves because many developments could jeopardize these very positive developments.
Mm-hmm. Now, integrating Oman into our conversation, given the ongoing indirect negotiations, how important is the role of a neutral mediator, such as Oman, in ensuring a successful outcome between the United States and Iran?
Oman enjoys great credibility in many international and regional circles, including with the United States and with Iran. Oman enjoys a historically cordial relation with Iran and also is a U.S. ally in the Gulf region. Also, Oman has played a very prominent role in mediation and in mediating in general between the United States and Iran for the past 40 years on a multitude of issues, not only the nuclear program issues. So I think Oman has credibility. The U.S. at first tried to impose other mediators or pitch in other mediators, including the United Arab Emirates. However, Iran rejected that, and both of them in the end settled for negotiating on Omani territory with Omani mediation, with the Omani Minister of Foreign Affairs conducting the negotiation. And I think that Oman enjoys credibility and has trust, a substantial amount of trust between with the U.S. and with Iran, and can always be a reliable mediator in this regard. And I believe that the role, even if the U.S.-Iran negotiations become a direct negotiation, Oman will still maintain a role as a mediator throughout these talks until the end.
Mm-hmm. Now, regarding Trump's strategy, with President Trump reportedly willing to make concessions, what are the most likely areas where he may compromise, and how could these concessions impact the overall negotiation strategy?
I think what Trump wants out of these talks is to come to an agreement that basically neutralizes an Iranian nuclear threat, meaning that he wants to remove Iran's capability to develop nuclear weapons, and I think that's the ultimate aim of his strategy. And I think he might achieve that through a refined version of the 2015 agreement that places more restrictions and more constraints on Iran's capability and more scrutiny and monitoring of their nuclear program by the IAEA and even the United States itself and other major powers like Russia. And let's not forget that Steve Witkoff, before arriving in Oman to conduct the negotiations with the Iranians, he went to Moscow and met with President Putin. And it is said that they did not only discuss Ukraine, they also discussed Iran. And Russia does play a role, a renewed role actually, since Trump's re-election and the warming of relations between the United States and Russia. And of course, Russia is a valuable partner and a strong ally of Iran. So they are trying now to play a role in the mediation. So we should never discount the Russian impact on these negotiations. And I think that from the way things are going, they might reach an agreement where Iran will abandon its nuclear ambitions, meaning that all its capabilities of developing weapon-grade uranium that might help them in developing a nuclear warhead. I think they might reach that agreement fairly within the next few weeks or months. However, of course, it's not clear whether this is the only thing Trump wants, especially that Israel is not happy with the way things are going, and they are pressuring Trump, along with some hawks within the Trump administration, to take a more hawkish stance on Iran and to actually go for a military strike against Iran. And they favor escalation, and they are completely against a negotiated settlement of this crisis. So if the Israelis gain sway inside the White House, they can derail the entire negotiations, and then we might be in jeopardy once more.